Are Warbear Riders any good in patch 6.1.2? Now that I've covered the famous war sleds, I want to cover bear riders for all the factions, knowing full well that Boris makes them even better. That's the method I use. I want to cover things as a baseline to be the most help in the most circumstances at first. So how good are the bear riders in stock vanilla form? Pretty good. Recruited for 1600 gold and 400 upkeep, putting your profits in hibernation. On Ultra you get 16 Mighty Bears, with 8,256 health between them, or per entity health above 500, competing with Minotaurs. Armor of 100 is legitimately stiff. Leadership 70 is pretty solid, speed 75 and charge speed 100 is equal to the light war sleds. Melee attack begins at 46, which is impressive, and attack interval is the average of 4 with a medium splash agassaz. So regular cavalry on down and not rival bears or ogres, and a max target splash per Ursine of 3. Melee defense 34 is pretty good, but that's all. Weapon strength 110, split base 33, and armor piercing 77 is quite good, but that's before a bonus versus large of 23, which puts this unit right out of the bear cave in top tier anti-cavalry territory with a combination of melee attack, weapon strength, and armor busting. Charge bonus of 38 is identical to light war sleds, but of course without the same kind of collision attacks, and mass is 1600 per bear. The unit has Hide in Forest, which is really good to know, causes fear, and has By Our Blood. In the Redline skills, this falls under Creatures of the Land at 3 pips granting melee attack plus 8 and weapon strength plus 12%. I bring attention to this because it's not the cavalry skill. Ursun's Favorite grants rank 7 bears plus 10 armor plus 5 melee defense and 15% spell resistance, and in Warhammer 3 that is purely spells, not crossbows with magical attack. In the tech tree, I looked around, but I don't think anything applies except Bear Baiting, which grants Frenzy to this unit. Obviously, none of the ranged buffs applying to sleds would apply. Having said that, this is a melee monstrous cavalry unit, and Frenzy on it, plus 10 melee attack and plus 10% weapon strength and charge bonus, as long as morale is even half decent. That's a very big deal for offensive output, especially output against armored infantry not subject to the bonus versus large. So, that's how it is. How do we use the Warbear Riders? There are concerns with getting stuck in blobs that are too large. Obviously, you want to exercise some caution against armor piercing, anti-large hunters, combinations of the two, getting excessively shot, but considering this requires a fair bit of cost, the raw power and force of the unit is extremely impressive. This is a predator on the field of battle, hunting what your horse archers and driverses cannot deal with, and ripping them limb from limb. There is no obvious weakness of the unit, not even speed, which is decent enough to be in the mix. Besides, it's Kislev, it tends to have ways to slow enemies down a little. So while the unit is expensive, it's also giving you a lot of value for that. Now that doesn't mean that the bears are perfect in the role of dueling other monstrous infantry or cavalry. You may be forced to hope they can handle that alone, but that's not ideal. What you can rely on them is for dominating lesser cavalry and almost any infantry as long as they're not completely surrounded. It's another case of, even if the unit is itself good, don't overestimate it to the point of ignoring limitations. Bears are only so tough when someone's driving an axe into their behinds. It's when you're facing jaw and claw that they're formidable. Even Kislev has some melee infantry. Use it for its intended purpose. Whittle the enemy down, and send war bears as a formidable hammer, and you should prosper. Keep the balance in mind because it will always be greater than the war bears on their own, isolated and asked to do too much at one time. Take care, and have fun. You're riding a barely controlled, rampaging bear. You are required to have fun.